This is the video for Christmas Day, the 25th of December, 2016, and the title is Christmas is Not What We've Been Told. It's not easy to get our minds around the truth that we've been lied to all of our lives about Christmas, Easter, and so much more. It's all been part of a grand deception, and we've all been deceived. This past year, I've even come to the place where I question whether or not my lifelong held idea of a loving God creator is not also a lie. After all, we live on a planet of lies. Is what we think of as truth nothing more than wishful thinking presented to get us to acquiesce and accept the insanity of this world as the only reality? If so, many of us have lived our lives in vain. All I want for Christmas is the truth that will set me and many others free from the tyranny of deception. Indeed, this has been a year of struggle for me in which I've questioned virtually everything that I've ever been taught and believed to be true. Some things that I don't believe I was even taught. I just knew intuitively that there was a loving God. I mean, yes, I went to Sunday school and was raised in a Christian home where we actually had a family altar. When I can remember when I was a kid, we actually had a time when we read Bible stories and actually prayed together. I mean, what a concept. But in any case, all of that became challenged when the home that was given to me by my non-judgmental spiritual mom was taken, that never had a mortgage on it, that there was, I mean, they held hearings where I wasn't even, it was about me and I wasn't even invited and didn't find out about it till weeks and sometimes a few months later. And this is what I've had to deal with this whole past year, which is why I say I have to question everything that I've believed. Now, if there is no God for me, life doesn't mean anything. My life is absolutely an insanity that has had no purpose and never will have a purpose. And if I could, I'd like to just stop existing. I mean, I've said that, I know. And some people don't like that, but that's how I truly feel. But we've been lied to about Christmas and Easter and all of these things. I mean, Saturnalia, however you say it, I pronounce it Saturnalia. I've heard other people pronounce it differently. Was a holiday around the winter solstice, long before the supposed birth of Jesus Christ. And many of the stories about Jesus were actually more ancient than his so-called advent at the beginning of the calendar change from BC to AD. And all of that is manipulated because not everybody even uses the same calendar. And in fact, tomorrow's message, which I've already written a blurb to, that is the day after Christmas, it'll be my official message for, is Why 2 Days of Christmas? That's the title of it. But there is so much confusion in the human mind because for some reason, the Creator allowed liars to rise to dominant positions in this world and allowed them to rule the world. And it has been a criminal enterprise all of our lives, going back not just 2,000 years, but much more ancient than that, 10,000 at least probably years, have been under the control of lying dictators, tyrants, and even the God of the Old Testament in many places is a jealous God, a God who puts forth the murder of don't even spare the children, rip asunder pregnant women. I mean, it's abominable. And this is the Bible. And so you can understand, if you look at what I'm finally looking at with a more critical eye this year than I've ever looked at it before in my life, you can understand why I come to the skeptical position of questioning everything. It's recognizing where humanity is and seeing the kind of people in the United States and other parts of the world that have risen to the top. Fake Jews that are Khazarians, that had nothing to do with biblical Israel at all. They're the ones that sit in power positions in the so-called nation of Israel, which is false, and sit in power positions in the United States having so-called dual citizenship, which is unlawful. You can't be a citizen of two countries. But of course, they're citizens of the world, and they don't see countries as having any meaning anyway, because that's their game plan. Their game plan is a one world order. But Christmas, like everything else we've been told, is nothing but a story that has been made up and put on the human race. And I see my family, my daughter with 3 grandchildren, going out and cashing in on getting their hands on whatever money they can to buy gifts for their kids and exchange gifts. And I'm going to talk about that more in the next video that I'm going to make. As I said, I've already written the blurb for that. But in any case, I mean, they don't have credit, so they had to cash in. My son-in-law had to cash in on the money that he's been putting aside. I mean, he's not been, anyway, he has money in that was being put aside that they don't actually owe. They usually take and get, after the IRS thing and filing their taxes, they get back a big chunk of money. Well, I guess he's taken some of that out now so they could buy more expensive presents for their kids. And while I appreciate their love for my grandchildren, I don't completely understand this whole thing, and I'll talk about that more again in the next video, because it's not that way all over the world, and even in so-called Christian countries or countries that have had a Christian foundation. It's not always seen the same way as it is here in the United States and I guess most of Western Europe and stuff like that. In any case, I'd like to see truth. That's really what I'd like to know the truth, and to be able to see a government based on truth. And I'd like to see truth in religion. What a concept. When people just regurgitate what they've been taught, but what they've been taught isn't true. And there's no investigation, there's no honesty, even among clergymen who continue to spread the lies. And the whole system is a structure of lies. And not only isn't Christmas what we've been told, most of our lives have nothing to do with what we've been told. We've been made slaves of an artificial system based on falsehoods. And I'd like to see that completely turned on its head. I'd like to see the world turned inside out and upside down. I'd like to see honest people put in places of leadership until enough people can wake up and recognize that we are all children of God. We all have a divine purpose and a divine mission and a divine origin and a divine destination. And it's all happening now. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you. Namaste.